Hello and welcome back to Lily's Crafty Corner. Today I'm going to share a thing that I like to do with reinforcements and making my own reinforcements. And the reason I do that is because I do like to make tags. I like to make mini albums, and you do need, for the binders and things, you do need to use make your own, have the reinforcements. And then the other thing I want to show you is something I do with the little corners for the photos, especially when I make the little ones. And the thing is, I just find that it just is so much nicer than having to worry about running out, finding things that are colored. And I like to do them ahead of time so that when I am making something, I don't have to stop. I do various colors. And I like to, so I wanted to share that with you. So one of the things I'm going to share is one of them that I do is when I make, when I want to use something like this that I've tea dyed, and it's from a dictionary. It's actually a medical dictionary. And for me, it's kind of apropos because I'm a nurse, or a retired nurse at this point. Just so you know, I will be retired 3 years in July 1st, and I'm absolutely loving it. And then the other thing is that I got my nursing license at the ripe old age of 19 and was an RN, and I worked from 1968 to when I graduated to July of 2016. So I really wanted to work till I wanted to be an active RN for 50 years. However, people used to ask me, when are you going to retire? And I always said when the powers that be administration significantly ticked me off, but I used another phrase. So what I did was I actually, just so you know, I took, this is just 65-pound cardstock, and it's white, and I took and I glued it down with art glitter glue, but my daughter ordered these for me off of Amazon, and what they are these little bottles. They come, I don't know, maybe $6 for 12, and they have the micro tip, and I just use one of the pins that has the ball on it that I use for my stick pins. So it just kind of works, and it's really nice. And then you can wash them out and then refill them. They work well. And the other thing you saw me do was I took this squeegee, and it's called VVIVID, and it's shop.com, and these are great. You can use them for vinyl, you can use them for all things, but I like to use them to burnish, because one of the things when you're taping, when you use the tape and when you use your glue, the reason you really want to give everything a good burnish, and I'm going to do it from the back so I don't rip the paper, is that you want to try and get all the air out, because when you leave the air in, the glue or whatever adhesive you're using is going to dry out, and it's going to lift. So you have a much better chance of things staying. So what I want to do is I want to use this to show you how I make some reinforcements with this, but I want to give it a few minutes to dry. So while that's going on, and you're going to have to excuse me for one moment, I forgot to bring over my paper towels, because I'm going to need those in the next moment, and it will only take me a second. And you know, I see people do this all the time, and I just hit the tripod. Anyway, I usually get annoyed when people do this, but here I go and do it myself. And I'm going to tell you about this paper. This is Scott paper towels, and you can get them in Home Depot. You can get them in Walmart, and they're in the automotive section, and they're a little pricey, but I'm going to tell you something. you can use one roll will last you a couple of weeks, if not longer. And you can actually use these, rinse them out, and reuse them. Now, the thing is, if you're going to use it for wiping down different things, you don't want the bacteria, from food and stuff. But if you're just using it like I'm using it for the crafting, these will last for quite a while, unless you really get them nasty. And I'm hoping I'm not getting too much glare on this. This is a new, it's Tim Holtz's glass media plate thing. It's Tonic Studios. Actually, I have it upside down. However, I love it, and because I do like to do things like this. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by showing you how, what I do to color these. Now, what I like to do is, because you're going to get different, especially if you use the oxides, Tim's new oxides. This is well, actually, this is Rusty Hinge. I thought I had, I thought I had the walnut. But I guess maybe I don't. But it doesn't matter. I'll use Rusty Hinge, because that will work. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with Genevieve Harrison of Genevieve Designs. However, she has these wonderful templates, and I have purchased a few. And anyway, when you make them, it's awesome. And they're mini albums and things. Like she says, she considers anything under a 12 by 12 a mini album, but some of them are have a nice size to them. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give these a spray like this. And this is the Distress spray, and that works like that. And we're going to let that dry. And I really didn't want to use the heat tool because it does get hot, but I just wanted to show you how you can, and now you can get, if you want them to have more stuff on them, you can actually turn it over. Because you don't really want to waste this stuff if you can help it. So, especially if I like to use Tim Holtz's things because I like the grunge. I'm into, the, what do you call it? The older looked papers and things like that. I like his distress looks. I love the turn of the century things and the steampunk. So I just want to give it a quick dry. There you go. So you have these to go, and you can do them in any color you want. I have some here that are in the blues. This one is Broken China. This one is Pistachio. Which one is this? This is Evergreen Bow. And I just want to mention, too, I just picked this up at the dollar store. And what's great about it is I can put the sprays in the back. And these are the ones that I made at home from different re-inkers. And some of them are, I think these are all Stampin' Up. So I've had them a while, and they work well. So... Now, the other thing that I just want to mention, Tim always says that after you use the sprays, because a lot of people complain that, they end up clogging. If you keep them clean, you run the risk of not having that happen so much. Now, the other thing I want to show you that I do are the corner things. Now these you get 252 pieces for $4.99, and of course if when you go in and you use one of your 40% coupons, it's not so bad. Now I was using these for my grandson's prom, And they really came out nice. I really liked it. So let me see what other color I want to choose on this one. Here, this will be nice. I'll use Broken China on this one. And again, when you move them around, they do, and I always like to wipe them off again, making sure. And you want to shake them up a little bit. And then you do the same thing. You just kind of spray them. And so it's kind of nice. I like to use these corners. Now, you don't have to use them just on photos. You can use them on the ephemera pieces, you know, the cutouts that you get. You can use them on those corners. You can do all kinds of things with them. But it's really a lot of fun. And you can have whatever color you have. Now, even if you don't have the Distress, even, any of his oxides, you can make your own. This one is a plum. I'm going to do that one for you now. And that one is from one of the re-inkers that I purchased from, what do you call it, Stampin' Up. And you know, when you can get the re-inkers, sometimes you get them on sale, or if you, wherever you can find them, you can get them cheap enough. You know, they're just a few dollars. I mean, I would say some of them are under $5. But you can make tons and tons of spray. And again, I get these from Amazon. And they're just these little spray bottles, and it's the same thing. And this one is Purple Plum, so I'm just going to spray that for you. Did I spray it on the wrong side? Yes, I did. No, I did not. Nope, that's the right side. But look at that color. Isn't that awesome? And it's just from one of the re-inkers. This is the one, and I don't even know if they have Purple Plum anymore at my friends at Stampin' Up. I haven't bought anything from, oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Normally I would stop and restart, but you know what? I've learned that that's not going to happen. There we go. Goodness, I definitely have to get a better setup. And I apologize very much for that. So I've seen others do it. That's why I'm not going to reshoot. I've reshot before, and I've seen people who have thousands of subscribers do that and didn't reshoot. And I thought, well, maybe I should do what they do. But I'm having a lot of fun here because actually I'm going to be using these in on other projects that I'll be doing, so I thought that was fun. Now, to show you what we do, so I'm ahead of the game here. There we go. And let me see, where did I just do with that spray I just used? Oh, here it is. Now, and I don't know if I did it, but I am going to, now I've used 2 of my paper towels, but I'm going to wash them out, and they will dry, and I will reuse them on my next project or tomorrow, whichever comes first. And then I am going to show you. Now, I made this paper here. It's still a little damp, so I want to give it a little bit of the heat tool, so I apologize for the noise. But I will tell you, I've seen people turn these off when they use the heat tool, turn off the sound, and guess what? That annoys me more than the sound. So here we go. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to let this dry just a few more minutes, but I'm taking, this is some leftover Tim Holtz paper, and this is how I usually make my my pieces to make my reinforcements that I use. I take and I line it up, and I try to get it where I just barely miss, so I can get as many out of this as I can. And then I'm going to show you what I do. Because I'm going to tell you, and don't get stressed should you not be able to line up the holes perfectly. Sometimes I get them, I'm amazed that I get them done so well, and then other times I make such a mess of it. And what I like to do is I like to go around the whole, you know, the scrap, like this, go all the way around as far as I can go. There, just get that in the corner. You really have to, that's why I don't keep the piece down, you know, so that, because it'll catch them for you. But when you do that, you have a hard time lining things up. So I find this just looks a lot better. And I'm just going to do the one round. And then what I do is I just trim it as close to each circle so that I can get in and get a few more out of it. There you go. So what I like to do is I take a few of them at a time, not too many. And, oh, I don't even think, was I showing? Oh goodness, was I out of screen that whole time? I hope not. Well, we'll find out. And if I was, I'm going to get another piece of paper and show you how I do them anyway. Here, now just kind of lined it up as best I can. And that's what you end up with. I think they really come out good. And just because I think I may have been out of screen when I did that originally, I'm going to take, and this one should be ready now, and I'll show you. I do this. This is what I want to make sure I've got here in case I was out of screen. I'm sure you're all telling me, Lillian, you're out of screen. Here you go. Now with this, and it's a little bit thicker, so it might be a little harder to punch it. There we go. It's just a little more. So with these, I probably will not. And then what like I was saying with the, here's one I can use to show you. And I'll do it from the back. I just take and go through like this and try to line them up. I didn't really pay attention. That one I kind of half messed that up. But sometimes that happens. It's not a big deal. And then again, you just take, with these, I try and only, do I have another one? Yeah. I try and only do one or two at a time with these, like 2 at a time, because they're already the thickness of 4. So again, you line it up as best you can. It takes a little practice. And I will tell you, that little, it's, I'll tell you what it is. There, see, I'm actually getting a little bit better at them. Now, here, this is a, I'm not sure what size this is. I think it's about a little less than a ½ an inch punch. But it was, I got it at, it's the Paper Studio. I got it at Hobby Lobby. And it's probably the smallest punch that they have in this shape. And I think it was $3.99 that day. And they were, can't remember if it was 30 or 40% off. So I purchased it, and I have to tell you this. I have another one that's a Fiskars, and I can't find it. So when I was at Hobby Lobby and they had them on sale, I said, what the heck? I'm just going to purchase it. Now, and this came from the dollar store. So really, for having to be able to not have to purchase reinforcements, I mean, they're cheap enough. However, a lot of times you can't get exactly what you want. You can't get the, you know, the colors and things like that. These are Avery. They're, I forget how many. There's 900 of them in there, so they do last a while. But I'll tell you, once you start using them on your different projects, the more you use, the more you want to use them. And the other thing I find is that sometimes I want to use, like when I'm using coordinating papers or my double-sided papers, I like to do it because then I can mix and match them. As you can see here, these were from a double-sided paper, one of Tim Holtz's, and this is what you can, you know, you can do with them. In fact, I'm just going to put a few holes in them. Oh, I didn't line them up. So the one thing is you really want to make sure you have, when you're going to put a few in together, you really want to try and line them up. And that's what happens. I'm trying to look at it. Here we go. That's why I'm getting at it. So I've got it pretty much lined up. Punch. And then, now some people would say, oh, save the circles for the confetti. Well, I got to tell you, I don't. But I do like how these came out. And I like the fact that I can customize them for other, other things when you're doing some of your junk journals and so forth. I think this is great. Here, let me just punch out a couple more with this. Yes, I made these to coordinate with my grandson's. He went to his junior prom, and I made two 6x6 journals for albums, one for him and one for his girlfriend. Her dress was red. So what I did was, I've got this lovely red paper that was kind of muted a little bit with, actually it came from a Halloween pack. And it was just so beautiful, but it didn't have, any ghoulish or anything. It was kind of a romantic Halloween paper, a best way to explain it. So I used that, and I made hers in the red and gold, and I made his with black and silver. And that's when I did the reinforcements, because I used the binder rings. And I found that using the reinforcements and I used the corners, I did these I had some gold that I was, stuff that I was able to put on and use on there. And then on his, I had some actually silver, gold and silver papers. And then I also I think I actually did hers in red. I did these in red. I didn't do them in gold and silver. These were in red. And the hole punches, I used some metallic paper that I had, and it just worked out great. So I want to thank you for suffering through this video with the couple of mishaps that we had. And I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's something that you can use. I find for me, it's great. And some days when I have, not any real mojo going, as they say, these are the things I like to do, because when I do them, then I'm starting to think about other things and projects that I can do. The other thing I want to share with you, I think I did share one video regarding some of the cardstock that I was making, plain cardstock, using bits and pieces to make my own collage paper to use for crafting and, making the albums. And 2:30 in the morning, I woke up and I said, gosh, I just can't sleep. It was earlier than that I woke up, and finally I said, I got to do something. A lot of stuff was going on in my mind. And I got up and I made about 12 different sheets of paper.